Bonjour, this is Fabulously Delicious, the French food podcast. It's the podcast that's all about the cuisine that is set to have founded modern cooking. I'm your host, Andrew Pryor. Enchanté.
Enchanté.
Today is a special day here in France. It's the release of Nouveau Beaujolais. And to celebrate this, I'm sharing a chat that I had with Preston Moore, who we talked to in the last episode as a revisit of our previous episode. Well, that's a bit complicated. Anyways, we're talking to Preston about specifically Nouveau Beaujolais and also Romain Tattoo, who joined me on a dedicated episode about the vibrant young wine that is Nouveau Beaujolais. Their insights offer a taste of the history, the excitement, and the joy surrounding Nouveau Beaujolais. Beaujolais wine is also a wine from the Burgundy region, and it's famous in France as a table wine, but everybody gets excited at the Beaujolais time of the year when it's announced. What is Beaujolais wine for us Australian Americans that are coming to France that don't know anything about wine?
Yes, Beaujolais is the southernmost part of Burgundy, and they grow grape. They're called Gamay, Gamay. And actually, Gamay was the main red grape variety in all of Burgundy up until the 1500s. And the Duke of Burgundy, Philip the Bold at the time, he found that Gamay was quite harsh and was kind of a bastard grape variety, and so he banished it from his dukedom, and he replanted everything with Pinot Noir, and that's how Pinot Noir came to Burgundy. Well, it's from Burgundy originally, but that's how it became so widely planted. And Gamay was really pushed further south to what's now the Beaujolais region, where it thrives really well. It's a very fruity, very easy to like red grape variety. But in years past, this grape was used primarily for everyday drinking table wines, like you've said. And there are some excellent producers now using this grape and really making more terroir-driven, excellent quality style wines in Beaujolais. And the Beaujolais Nouveau is what you hear about most, and that's in November. They release the wine from that year's harvest, which is quite uncommon. Most of the time when we make wine, you harvest the grapes if we're in the northern hemisphere, you're going to harvest in September, and then I guess it's the same for the southern hemisphere, but it's just different cycle, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Here it would be September, you harvest for most parts, and then the grapes will be, crushed and made into wine and then bottled and sold probably the next year in the springtime. Sometimes for higher quality wines, Burgundies, Bordeaux, etc., they're going to age, a year or two more beyond that. And what they do in Beaujolais is they simply with Beaujolais Nouveau, they make that wine. It only stays about a month or two in tanks, and then it's bottled and sold. It's a way of essentially selling what they've just finished making, whereas winemakers down there were struggling they had no money, so they had no way to really live between the harvest and the following year, so they decided to start commercializing those wines earlier. They're generally the least serious and the least interesting in terms of quality Beaujolais wines, but they're still fun and nice and easy to drink. And yeah, there's a number of other very good Beaujolais that are made just like a Burgundy or other wines.
There's a lot of fanfare around it in November when they're being released, and everyone's got their signs out that they're selling Beaujolais wine here, etc. So it's
more of a party now. It's just a big party.
On to Beaujolais. For starters, what is Beaujolais wine?
Beaujolais is a region. Sometimes you see how we say in France. In France, we name the wine by where they come from. Whereas in the new world, where you come from, most of the time you refer to wine as a Pinot Noir or a Cabernet or a Chardonnay. That's the varietal. France, most of French would not know what the varietal of a wine is, but they will know the name of the region it comes from. So Beaujolais is the region. Is a region where we produce a wine that we call Beaujolais because it's coming from there. So we're at the southern part of Burgundy, France. So just a few miles north of the city of Lyon, Beaujolais is you could say it's the southern part of Burgundy, or it's a region on its own. It's about 30 miles south to north and about 10 to 15 miles wide. So it's quite small. Let's say you have a friend coming over from Australia and they want to visit France. Maybe they will land in Paris. Then you would say, okay, go east to Champagne. So right east of Paris, Champagne. Then you go south of Champagne. You're gonna start being into Burgundy. With Côte de Nuit, Côte de Beaune, Côte Chalonnaise, all these vineyards, and then you go into Beaujolais, which is really at the south, right next to Lyon. If you leave Lyon within 15 to 20 minutes, you can see the first vineyards of Beaujolais north of Lyon. So we are at the right between proper Burgundy and the region of Côte-du-Rhône, which starts just south of Lyon. I say in Beaujolais we produce mainly red wine. About 95 to 97% of what we produce is red wine, and it's a grape called Gamay Noir, which is a sibling of Pinot Noir.
And then there's a Nouveau Beaujolais. What is this? Is this the same thing as Beaujolais, or is it different?
So Nouveau, you speak a little bit of French, and Nouveau means new. So Beaujolais Nouveau means the new wine of Beaujolais. For example, this year we harvested in September, and just 2 months after, we're drinking Beaujolais Nouveau on the third Thursday of November. So it's a French tradition. Beaujolais Nouveau is that it's a tradition where when you're a winemaker, you're going to bottle a part of the harvest right after you make it, instead of waiting for months before you bottle it. And you are going to celebrate the harvest. You're going to celebrate the first wine of the harvest right in the middle of November, when we have short days. It's dark very early, and everybody's depressed. We're going to gather all together in restaurants and bars and drink the first wine of the year to see how the vintage is going to be. So that's a French tradition. It started back in the early 1950s, because at the time people were making races to go to be the first to deliver the barrels of wine to the restaurants in Paris. So all the winemaker would leave at the same time and rush to Paris to be the first to deliver the Beaujolais Nouveau. And when they did, everybody was shouting in the restaurant saying, "Le Beaujolais Nouveau est arrivé." It means the Beaujolais Nouveau has arrived. Typically, the wine that comes from Beaujolais, from this appellation of Beaujolais, most of the wines see no oak. Okay, we age in what we call neutral vessels, so something that will not give taste to the wines, such as oak barrels. What we do here with Beaujolais Nouveau, let's take this analogy. You like cooking? You like baking? Sometimes when I bake a cookie, I like the dough. Sometimes I eat the dough before I bake the cookie. Okay? That's the same thing with Nouveau. Nouveau is just like the dough, that before you bake it, it's the first taste of what the cookie will be. And the cookie will be the wine that you age like Beaujolais. So when you're a winemaker in Beaujolais region, in the southern part of Beaujolais, where most of the Nouveau comes from, you're going to bottle a part of the wine, and the other half, let's say, approximately 50% approximately, you're going to age it and wait until January or February or March of the year after to bottle it, after it spent some time to rest in your cellar. But it's not going to be aging in oak most of the time.
For the full episodes with Preston and Roman, then you can just check out the links in the show notes for this episode. Thank you for listening, and remember, you know what my motto is: whatever you do, do it fabulously. Merci beaucoup, and bon app.